This is Mr. Wong. From the Day in the Morning Show, you listening to the UFO Buster Radio with Manny and Big O. You sit down, you listen, or you see them little green men. I gotta go. See ya. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Manny Moonraker. This is episode number 71. On this episode, which I would consider this a bonus episode, we are interviewing Christopher Farley, and the interview is about his upcoming film that is going to be released on the 21st, and the name of the film is The Alienators. Now, the film will be available on the 21st. You'll have the links in the description as to where you can actually see the film, and we're going to hear that from Chris himself during the interview. But before we get into the interview, I just want to say that don't forget that you guys can share, follow, and like on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and every single mobile app that you can find us on. And of course, UFOBusterRadio.com. So without further ado, here's the interview with Christopher Farley. Okay, folks, welcome to UFO Buster Radio, and this is Manny Moonraker, and I am here with Christopher Farley. Christopher, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Manny. Good to be here.
Listen, I heard from your PR rep, and you have an exciting film coming up, but before we get to that, we want to know more about you, because I'm sure the audience wants to know about the man behind the film.
Well, sure, there's plenty to tell. I really grew up watching those wonderful Spielberg movies and Lucas, Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Back to the Future, movies like that, those big summer blockbusters, and those were the movies that inspired me. And I'm originally from Michigan, so I ended up moving out to Los Angeles in the early 90s. And the first job I got out here was a PA on Steve Martin's LA Story, and then I also worked on Terminator 2. And those were two really good introductions to this world. I mean, it was very, very crazy. These are, one was a sort of a low-budget romantic comedy, and then obviously you've got the James Cameron big-budget action adventure. And so being able to witness these movies come together, from my perspective as a lowly PA, it was really exciting. I remember during those times, though, I put over 25,000 miles on my car, which was a lot in less than a year.
That is amazing.
Because you do a lot of driving, but having just moved to LA, I got to learn the city really well that way.
Now you're kind of like a jack of all trades when it comes to the film industry, aren't you?
Yeah, that sort of began in college, because when I went to college, I went to Grand Valley State University back in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and they had a local PBS station. And when my first year, I went there and asked if I could get a job. And I started as a floor director, and I ended up becoming a producer. And what I did was a lot of productions on my own, where we worked on this show called Press Pass, which was this local sports show, and we interviewed local sports, celebrities like people at the local colleges or even high schools. So I would often set up these interviews, take a camera out there, shoot it myself, interview the people, bring it back, edit it, and then, they'd air it. So I gained a lot of experience doing every aspect right there. So when I came out here, it became a real asset to be able to do a lot of stuff, because a lot of people you can do more now by yourself because of computers. You can edit on your own, because, back then you needed at least, hundreds of thousands of dollars to edit a movie that you shot on film. But now you can shoot it on your phone. Essentially, you can edit it on your phone, so it's a lot easier. But when it came to visual effects, the last movie I did was called Adam 9 Adventures. It was a superhero movie, an original superhero that I created. It's spelled ATOMNINE. And that actually got distributed. That was a couple of years ago, and that was a really fun movie to make, but I had to learn how to do visual effects myself, because obviously I couldn't afford to have somebody else do that. the work I did was over 987 special effects shots that would have cost over $1 million.
Amazing. Now, the film itself, actually, what did it win? Best Picture, soundtrack, and also Best Visual Effects.
Adam 9, yes, yeah,
Yes.
that one won a lot of awards, and it got the special Dove Award when it got distributed. That got worldwide distribution as well, and yeah, that was a really great experience, and I really love that movie, and I'm very proud of that one. And it was very, very different than than the Alienators. Like that
Right.
one basically was a PG movie. You know, your summer, it's kind of your summer family movie fare, and then it was after that I did the Alienators because I wanted to tackle something a little darker, a little more, dark comedy, and a bit raunchier. So, because when you're a filmmaker, you want to kind of stretch your muscles in different directions.
Exactly. You got to strut your stuff.
Yeah.
So let's go to the Alienators. And it seems like you've done some research on ufology, but personally, what's your take on ufology?
I believe that there are aliens, and I believe that there are UFOs, and I did a lot of research with it because I've been very fascinated by this subject for many, many years. And so I definitely believe in it. I don't know if they exist together. And that's kind of what I came up with in my research was people see UFOs and people see aliens, but I haven't seen an authentic, person's account of seeing them together.
Right.
So I wonder if UFOs are their own entity and then aliens are coming here a different way, like either through interdimensional portals or whatever, but I don't know. I really don't know. But I just going by what I've seen out there is that you rarely see them together.
Yeah. So what was it that inspired you then to basically, produce this film, The Alienators?
I thought I watched those Ghost Adventures shows and I really liked those. And then they came out with that, the movie, gosh, I can't even think of the name of it. The person where the ghosts were I'm totally drawing a blank on the movie.
It's kind of like documentary style.
Yeah, the documentary style, where they're hunting ghosts or hunting. It's usually ghosts, and I just found that kind of interesting because, for the most part, because I don't know the fact that the stuff that they capture, I find very fascinating. I don't think they're hoaxing it, and I think it's very interesting what technology has been able to do to sort of expand that area. But I thought, well, it might be interesting to do something with UFOs because there hasn't really been a movie, or at least a documentary that has had anything really authentic or anything that we could really sink our teeth to. We've seen what was the alien autopsy, things like that were sort of definitely hoaxes as we find out later, and they seem very authentic at the time. But I just thought, I guess where it all comes from is I do want to believe in this. I really do think that there are aliens out there, and I'm very fascinated by the subject. But for me, the frustration comes from the fact that there are so many hoaxers out there now. There's so much bullshit out there that it really is annoying. I mean, especially even what we were just talking about is that, I could do visual effects on my home computer. I can create a great fake UFO and people would buy it. But the problem is it detracts from what may be actual sightings out there.
Right.
So through that frustration, I thought, well, what if a guy, just some regular dude, not some scientific person that was, really into this, but just some, like the main character is Vic Singe. He's unemployed. He plays the air guitar. He goes to air guitar contests at night, and he goes out and hunts UFOs during the day. And I thought, what if there was just this guy that didn't take any bullshit from anybody and went to these people because he's interested and he wants to get to the truth and he's tired of all the BS and he doesn't pussyfoot around and he just tries to get right to the truth. So overall, and he likes to meet women. So that's kind of how he does it. But what if this kind of guy stumbled across an actual case? Like, what would he do? Like, how would he react? So that when I came up with that idea, I thought, well, that could be an interesting movie. And so that's where it all started.
So as far as the film itself, what would you classify the film?
I would call it I guess you could classify it under two things. It's definitely science fiction, it's a mockumentary, and it's a dark comedy.
And so, when I actually was watching part of the film, there was also like that almost a bit of satire to it.
There is some satire because we are satirizing, the whole UFO hunter, community that's out there, and like I said, there's a lot of frustration. Like, you read these people, they're all authors, which I find interesting. A lot of the people that have these amazing experiences, right. Like they happen to write their books too, and none of it is, you can't prove any of it, and that again, that's kind of where the frustration comes from. My own personal perception of the whole UFO and alien phenomenon, and it's just I really want to know if they are if there's actual evidence out there, because I don't buy still photos. Nobody should take still photos anymore. I don't get why people even buy those. They get shared all the time on Facebook and social media. It's so easy to Photoshop for anybody. Like, it's a lot harder to do like a visual effects shot with a video where you have to track the shot, and you have to deal with lighting and all that kind of thing. But there's just so much crap out there. And I remember reading some article that said if there were as many UFO sightings as are reported on a sort of weekly, monthly, yearly basis, the air traffic would be insane.
Absolutely.
Like our airplanes wouldn't even be able to fly anywhere.
Yeah, the amount of reports that are going are immense. I mean, they're growing year by year.
I know, and but they're the majority are fake. But you have to believe, like anything else, there's got to be some truth in some of it. And as we know, probably 95% or some are explainable, whatever they are. But which ones are real? Which ones are real that are out there that are happening? And I remember, are you familiar with David Jacobs, that whole thing? Because
yes.
I initially found his research very fascinating, and I actually I turned to that a lot when I was reading and researching this movie. But then that whole thing with Emma Woods really just destroyed all his credibility. I mean, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. But that's usually what happens. You know what I mean? You get into these aspects of these stories where they become almost too fantastic.
Yeah, and even Whitley Strieber and Stan Romanek, I mean, that whole thing I always thought had a smell of fakery from the beginning, and now he's involved in all that. And I don't know your thoughts on his deal, because he's now dealing with the child porn allegations, and it's such a shame that this stuff has to happen. I understand people are desperate and they want to make some money. But
right.
Let's get to the truth. One of the most compelling UFO sightings I've ever come across is the Phoenix Lights.
Right.
That one's hard to write off, because you've probably seen the videos where it couldn't be flares because they're uneven. But this thing was even, and it was steady as a rock. That line of lights, and I find that pretty fascinating. That one.
Right, and the reports are really, really consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
From thousands of people.
I do think there was some mass hysteria involved, but, it's hard to say, because you're not there. But, yeah, I mean, everybody that said they saw this huge thing, like, go over their neighborhood, but I don't know, because, some people like to jump on the bandwagon and, and they want to get famous. So, that's what makes it tough, I think. So,
yeah. I mean, like you said, unless there's real evidence out there that you can really distinguish as being the real deal, it's tough. It's a tough subject to get through. Yeah,
because either we need an actual alien or we need a ship.
Exactly.
Those are we just need those two, one of those two things, and then we'll know for sure.
As far as the Alienators, basically, what was the goal of the film? What is it we're representing to the people? What's your perspective on it?
Well, the goal of the film was to tell an entertaining story, but I also was very, very careful with my research. So for the people because again, I wasn't trying to make fun of it. I was more making fun of the hoaxers And that's what I thought, where I thought it would be interesting to have the worst possible person stumble across the greatest case of history about aliens and UFOs and put those two together. But if someone out there has been abducted or is, very serious about, alien abductions or UFO sightings or aliens and the different races, I was very, very, very careful to honor that, down to, the blue color of the light, the way people are abducted, the things they experience. Because when you watch it, the lead character who is played, her name is Jessica Williams in the movie, and the girl that plays her, Alicia Tracy, really grounds the whole movie, because she has some very, very dramatic moments. These are very real moments, and of the experience of someone that has basically lost a lot of their life. Because as we know, aliens, when you when they abduct people, they erase their memory. But sometimes they sneak back, they kind of come in different forms, whether it's nightmares or whatever, and that has different impacts on different people. So we see that happen with the character of Jessa in the movie. And again, Alicia was so wonderful. She actually won an award at one of the screenings we had for Best Actress. She was just so good.
Oh, really? That's amazing.
Yeah. And because there's this one monologue she does where she recalls she's asleep, and then all of a sudden she's outside the house. And she knocks on the door to be let back in, and her mother comes to the door and screams at her, what are you doing? Were you out with a boy? And, and Jessa's like, no, she wishes she was with a boy, but she doesn't know how she got out there. And, it's a very, very heart-wrenching scene. So, I feel like that her character really grounds the movie in reality, and it helps balance the over-the-top character of Vic, who takes a little while to get convinced that this stuff is happening to her, because, when he first meets her, she's sort of this recluse woman that lives in a cabin up in the woods who drinks a lot. So, as far as a credible witness, it takes a little bit for him to sort of come around and see that stuff is actually happening to this woman.
Experiences that she has really comes across on the screen of how it was impacting her experience with the aliens, was really impacting her personality, her life. You could really see it. Absolutely. Yeah, she was terrific. And then, and again, I wanted to make it entertaining, but also, I think people can learn things from it. And, like I said, I tried to honor the entire, for the people that are interested in it, because that was the fine line I'm walking. But I think other people like me who really do believe that there are aliens and UFOs out there somewhere, and maybe they come every 20 years, we don't know, not as often as every 5 minutes, like we're led to believe on social media. But, right.
But if it is happening, it would be great to be able to know for sure one day, because it is truly one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of humanity.
Absolutely. It sure is. So any future plans for the film, maybe a sequel or anything like that?
Well, we'll see how the release does. It's coming out on March 21st, next Tuesday. And, I think we've got some great interaction on the Facebook page and through social media. So I think I've got plenty of ideas, and I'd love to be able to tell more stories, because these characters are really great to work with, and I think there's a lot to explore with them. And I also think it'd make a great TV series. But yeah, I think we definitely, all of us, because we had such a great time making the movie together. It was a very small crew. We had about 8 people. We were up at a cabin for 2 weeks. And we just, it was a fun movie to make. Even, some of the scary sequences were a lot of fun to do as well. And it was like we were a big family up there. So I think we would all like to, recreate that and tell a different story.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone right now is looking forward to watching the film. So besides Facebook, how can they find the Facebook page? Under what name is it?
It's facebook.com/Alienators movie. And you can go to thealienators.com. And then they'll be able to see them. They'll have all the information on those 2 places. It's also on Twitter, Alienators Movie, and hashtag Alienators Movie. But you'll see on the Facebook page, because we have a big premiere on Sunday, and then we're gonna post a video from that on Monday, and then on Tuesday, everyone will know where it's going to be able to be seen, and it's being released worldwide. So, but the main places will be iTunes, Amazon Prime, Amazon Instant Video, or you can buy it on Blu-ray or DVD at Amazon. You can watch it on Google Play, YouTube, Dish TV, places like that.
Fantastic, Christopher. Folks, this is Christopher Farley. The movie is The Alienators. It is a must-see. Check it out. I'll have the links in the description, so everyone give it a whirl. It's a great movie. Christopher,
Thanks,
thank you
Manny,
for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you. So there you go, folks. That's Christopher Farley, and keep an eye out for the film The Alienators. You know, and kind of like Chris was saying, yeah, ufology these days is pretty tricky. You know, you don't know what's real, what's not. But thanks to technology, we have a lot of the not, then we have the real. And his perspective on, not seeing UFOs and aliens together at the same time is very fascinating. It's kind of like the whole idea between Superman and Clark Kent. But anyway, check out the film. The information's in the description for this episode number 71. And as always, we'll catch you this weekend on Sunday with a full episode. So ciao.
Okay, UFO Buster Radio all done. You go now. You come back tomorrow. You listen to archive. You go now. You have a nice day. Bye-bye.